Welcome to the Purpose Walk podcast, where people talk about recycling their pain into purpose. I'm your host, Dr. Ava Eagle Brown, and we're really excited that we're joined today by an amazing friend, someone who I have a lot of respect for. I actually met a few years ago at an event, and ever since then, we've really stayed in contact. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her before I dive into hearing her own story, her own pain to purpose journey. So Lisa is the confidence coach for women and speaker, and she has been linked to a steel fist in a velvet gloves as a gently. Let me start again, because I think I've gotten that a little bit wrong. Lisa is a confidence coach for women, and she really has been all around women and speakers and helping them to really put their confidence together, right? She has had several life-changing experiences of adversity. She studied and coached with some of the world's most influential leaders, and her journey has been instrumental in building confidence and empowering others within creative and corporate setting amongst 1,000 of women. Now, she's been on the very journey that she supports women in using the TT method, the transformational triangle, and a sprinkling of the law of attraction. And it really helps women to come alive. And I'm so excited to have today on the podcast, Lisa. How are you doing, Lisa?
Great. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's really good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Thank you. Very good.
Great. Well, I was stumbling over your bio because you've done so many things in the world, but it's not always been this way, Lisa, has it been?
No, it's been a journey, and I'm very grateful for my journey. But going back, in fact, my son actually turns 19 this coming Friday. So 19 years ago, my life was absolutely opposite to what it is now. I found myself with two small children. Finn was a newborn, as a single parent, and it was tough. It was really, really tough. And I can honestly say, but going back to those days, I was downtrodden. I was very low. I had absolutely zero self-worth at all, nothing. And in those days, the only thing that kept me going actually was my children. And we do have an incredible bond, me and my children. And everything I did back then, I couldn't do it for myself because I just thought, what's the point? I felt worthless. So I thought, well, if I can't do it for me, I need to do it for my children, because I don't want my children to feel this way. And you just want the best for your kids. So yeah, I was renting. I was living off benefits. I had about £10 a week disposable income. Things were tough. They were really, really tough.
Lisa, I'm going to pause you there because I love the fact that you're so honest. I mean, probably that's why we connected from the first day, is that you're honest about it. Because so many people, when they make it, they're uncomfortable to say, you know what, I was on benefits. It was really tough. We had £10 a week. I remember telling a story recently how I got to the place where I couldn't buy petrol. And somebody said to me, oh my God, you don't talk about that. And I said, but how am I going to inspire somebody else, right? Who is stuck in that place where, like you, they can't pay rent, like they can't buy the petrol. And I was wrapping my son in the blanket and driving to nursery. And somebody said, you don't talk about that. And I just think it is such a travesty when we think that we should hide the grime of where we came from or what we came through.
I agree. And I think going back to those days, I went to counselling. I did, all sorts of bits through the doctors, all sorts of things. But I needed somebody, and I'd say this really humbly, but I needed somebody like me. I needed somebody that could say, I've experienced that, I've done that, I've been there, I've seen that. I know how hard it is. I know how amazing it is when you actually step through. And I've literally got nothing to hide. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I say it all the time. Maybe I'm too honest and open sometimes, but there are right people that need to hear that. And I don't see myself as any bigger or better than anybody else. I'm me. I'm simply me. And if my journey can help inspire and give somebody hope, then job done. That's perfect.
And I love that, because you said something that is so fundamental. I keep saying to people that if you haven't walked the journey, you cannot talk to me. I cannot be coached or mentored or tutored by anyone. And I'm not saying in a very egocentric way. It's just that when you've walked the journey, you're in a better position to help me understand the steps to take. But when you haven't been there, when you haven't done the walk, I find it hard to listen to the textbook persons. Lisa, tell me, what are some of the things that you did? I mean, how did you get out of, because I know who you are now on the other side, and we're going to come to that. But how did you get out of having 2 young children? I was sitting here a while ago remembering and trying to remember. I can't remember if it was when your son passed his driver's test or when he got his exam results. But I remember we were celebrating something a few years ago. Was it his driving test, I think it was, or his exams? It was something.
It was his exams, because yeah, that was two years ago now.
And I remember you cried. I think either we were on the phone and something happened, and you cried because you were overcome with the journey and just how much you'd endured. But one of the things that everybody needs to understand, and I don't know you as long as many people would have, but your children were always at the forefront of what you kept talking about. It was always about your children.
Yeah. And one of the things I always say, and again, I don't know if it's what you're supposed to say, I say it because it's true. I am a mum first. You know, absolutely nothing will sway me. They have inspired me, given me strength, given me the drive, you know, and you know, you're saying, how did I do it? I did everything for them. I just wanted to be the best example I could be. And you know, we've had some conversations recently, and even my daughter, you know, even 2 days ago, she actually said to me, Mum, I forgive you for your journey, because I know how hard it was to actually bring us up, and I know how much pain it was. And I was crying, you know. She just sent me this voice note, and it was, and I didn't do anything to be what's the word, I didn't want this big recognition from them. I just want them to be as successful as they want to be in their own right, which they are, which is fabulous. But yeah, it was just, they were my drive. It was just small steps, you know. I think people think you have to get from A to B like this, and you can't. It's impossible. But it's taking those small steps each day and doing something consistently each day and talking kindly to yourself each day. But it's not always easy to do that on your own, because you know, I can remember being so low. You know, I struggled with depression on several occasions. It was really low. I was just literally instilled with other people's words in my head that weren't true. And now see that. But again, I'm grateful for those words, because boy, do they give me strength now. Because I was like, wow, I'm not that person, you know. And I'm kind, I'm sensitive, I'm caring, but I now know about boundaries.
Wow. I love that, because you just opened another can of worms, which a lot of us, especially as coaches and speakers, I just did a post today, and I'm not going to ask you to comment, because it wouldn't be fair on you to comment, but I'm going to comment because I can, and I wouldn't put you in that position. But I woke up this morning and I said, I'm traumatized. I feel very traumatized because I had to have a conversation with my son about his color that I shouldn't have to. He's 8 years old, but it put me in a space of depression. And because you talked about depression, and it's such a hard one, because a lot of us are so afraid to accept or to share that we have been depressed. And I don't get depressed often. I'm a very tough cookie, and I must be honest, but I've had my run with depression. But I, like you, we have the tools that we pick out of our toolkit. But I found myself depressed this weekend, just so depressed with all that's going on around. It's not what the podcast is about, so I'm not going to go into it. But I found myself depressed. How do you deal with depression with children? Because that's where I'm going to lead to. How did you deal with that? How did you handle that when you were depressed as a mother and you had young children? How did you cope?
I sectioned time off. Okay. So at the end of the day, it's not the kids' responsibility to see me in a certain way. Although I was very open with how I felt, I wouldn't necessarily have called it depression, because I don't think they needed to know that or hear that word at that age.
That early, yeah, I agree with you.
Especially Lou, she was like 3.5. But what I would do is I would make sure I had things for them they loved. You know, we used to do all the, you know, in fact, actually lockdown has really reminded me of all the things that we used to do. You know, we do the chalking, and we'd make Play-Doh, and we do all of these amazing things, and arts and crafts and all of those things. And then in those days, they'd be in bed by 6:30. That was, and then that was my time. And that was my time to sit and think, to cry, to go to bed early, to talk things through, to do all of those things. And I really tried to keep it separate sometimes I look back and I think, did I hide too much? If I'm really honest, as they've got older, there are times where I think, oh, you know, I needed to be more open.
You were just the hero, right? Mom, the hero, right?
That was it. And like now, I'm very, very open. And I, you know, again, being very, very open. I went through a particularly upsetting emotional time just this Christmas, and I was very open with my children. And
they can handle it now. They're older, and I think you're so correct. I think that I personally agree with you, and I share that view. That the things that I can tell my 22-year-old, I can't tell my 8-year-old. He's just too young, and I just don't think. Why should I unburden him? Because mental health in children is real, right? And you don't want to have to trigger that. I love that. Now, I know it's a subject that you probably don't, and I just love your humility around it. I love it. You have one of the most successful daughters in the world. And I say that from my heart. And you know how I feel about Louisa and about Louise. And you actually don't brag about it. I don't see you bragging about it on social media. I just see you, and you said that earlier, I'm gentle, I'm kind, I'm humble. And it is so true. Tell us about your daughter, and tell us about your kids, because I know that you don't overshadow one with the other. You've come through this pain of depression. You've come through this pain of hurt, single motherhood at some point, but you've come on the other side now where you have one of the most amazing daughters and amazing son. Tell me about your children and who they are in the world, because here's what I see. Apart from what you do, because I love the fact, and because you gave me that, okay, you're a mom first. So of all the things you do, what you have done particularly well is be a mom. Tell me about your 2 children now. Did you see her face? She lit up like it's almost like I gave her a piece of cotton candy right there. Look at that. Your whole body language changed.
I love being a mum. So yes, I have 2 incredible humans. They're just the most gorgeous souls ever. I have Louisa, she's now 22, and Finn, like I say, she turns 19 this week. So yes, Louisa is in her own right the most beautiful, sensitive, kind soul.
I wonder where she got that from.
Bless you. With the most incredible voice. So she's been singing since Dot forever, and in 2015 she won X Factor.
Wow, it's 5 years ago. Wow.
Yeah, it was December 2015, and she just always wanted to be a singer, and nothing else would do. And she comes to life on stage. She has just this way of touching your soul with her voice, and she's just been the most incredible inspiration to me as well, because it's not been easy. You know, she's had the highs and the lows.
She's so sensitive. I mean, I remember some of the conversations we've had and some of the things that she would say to you. They're just so sensitive. And I think I don't know any other person, but I think from what I know of you, some of that sensitivity does come from you. It's what they saw growing up around you.
Yes, yeah, and I see that now as well. And I know that, you know, if I keep striving to be the person that I want to be and where I want to get, I know my energy will actually inspire them as well. So we kind of bounce off each other, which is great. So, yeah, so with Lou, she's amazing, she's incredible, she's very driven, she's very much working on herself at the moment. She has had mental health issues, which she's spoken about.
Like we talk about our daughters. So our daughters are the same age, and 22. They're 22, right? Can you imagine that? And mental health is something that my daughter does struggle with, and is something that I'm trying to get young people to come on the podcast and do talk about, because I really believe that it's important for that to happen. But then here's the thing, Louis. I'm calling you Louise. Here's the thing, Lisa. Louise should have seen you handle your stuff, self-care, so she understands the value of that.
Yes.
So it's okay to take time out of your career and focus on you, because if you're broken, then you can't be of any good to anybody else.
No, that's absolutely it. And you know, you fill your own cup up first, and whatever's left over is for everybody else, you know. So
tell me about your son.
So my son, he's actually working from home, so he's in the next room at the moment. He's coming up for 19. He's got a little entrepreneurial streak in him, which I love. He's very disciplined. He's very different, but again, the most beautiful, kindest heart ever. He sees things that other kids don't see, and he's picked up on things. So he went to do his exams. So that's when we were talking about that. And then he went to college, and it just wasn't for him. And
I love that. Oh my God, I love that.
all the friends were like, oh no, you need to stay, you need to do A level, then you have to go to university, and then you have to do that. And I was like, son, you do what makes you happy, because I know in your heart you will be whatever you want to be. Like Louisa doing the singing, and people were like, oh, you know, she might fail, she might this. I was like, no, that's what she wants to. She has to be, her heart has to sing. Finn's heart has to sing. It has to be that way. So yeah, he left college after 6 weeks. He got very low. He was like, no, don't want to do it. I was like, fine. And yeah, he started to look for work. He went up into the city, which he's always loved, the city. And he's now in recruitment, and he was taken on at one of the biggest companies in London as their youngest ever employee at 16.
Wow, that's amazing.
He's been promoted 3 times already.
Wow, at 19, right? So there you are. Finding purpose is so important. And I think that purpose looks different for everybody. And that's what sometimes people don't get to understand. Oh my God, Lisa, this is just so amazing. So tell me now, talk about the work you do. I want to hear about the work you do and how you now transfer what you have learned on your journey as a single mother, somebody who's sensitive, who's gone through depression. How do you now use all that? Because all of those, even the mommy skills, because we don't realize how much organization, how much management, how much stuff we learn as a mommy. How do you now transfer those skills into what you do today? Okay,
so first things first, the one biggest thing is that I don't ever want anyone to feel the way that I did. So first of all, I've identified who I want to work with, my ideal client, if you want to call it that.
Yes.
And it's sort of women roughly around my age, you know, sort of between 45 and 60, around there. They've got children, their children may have left home, they've been through adversity. But what I do is I show them ways, how their mindset works. I've studied their mindset massively, and I've developed my own system for it now, because I didn't
I like that. I saw that.
I didn't want to talk about other people's systems.
Yes.
Mine,
your own self.
In my heart, you know. So what I get them to understand is, first of all, about energy, about that seed of thought. The first initial thought that we have it can make or break us, and there's always a positive to every negative. There's always a negative to every positive. So I try and get them to see things as neutral, without telling the story that then embeds, you know, upset, disruption, all of those things that then shift the energy and make the energy really uncomfortable. So I really get them to understand, first of all, that actually everything is until our thinking makes it so. Okay? And what I do as well, again, like I've said, I'm very, very open. So I don't talk about me in our sessions, but I relate things. I tell them situations that this happened to me, and then this is what I try. And I lead. I think what I'm trying to say is I lead by example. When I inspire, I nurture, because I'm such a mum, like I've said. I'm very nurturing, and then I empower. So it's like show that journey, give them my example. I look in, I check on people. I've worked with many, many coaches over the years where I was actually always told, don't be so nurturing, don't be so kind. And I was like, hang on a minute. So I went off this little route, and then I was like, no, this doesn't feel right. I've developed my own style of coaching, and I'm very, very comfortable and very happy with it. But the important thing is I just want to build people up. I want them to see that they have the control. Their conscious mind can say yes or no to whatever they choose. And the more they say yes to something that doesn't serve them, then the more it's going to embed, and that's going to have a direct effect on their actions, and then on their results of who they are. And one thing that I want to say as well is I work with women on any level. You know, I work with the women that are at home. I work with the women that are just starting their own business. I work with women in corporate. So because everybody has a mindset, and everybody has a heart, and everybody feels. And the more thing that I love more than anything is building somebody's confidence in what they need to do in this moment, whether that's sending this first email, or walking into a boardroom, or saying no and putting some boundaries down with their kids or with the people around them. It's about really channeling their mindset to boost their confidence and be the person that they want to be.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Guys, you heard that on the Purpose World podcast. Lisa, mother of 2, amazing mother, single mother she was. She's used her depression, she used her single motherhood, and she's really channeled that into nurturing and really rearing 2 amazing young people, young adults in the world. She is now into literally helping women empower themselves, transform, regardless of where you are, whether you're in the boardroom, are you at home being a mommy, or you're looking to start your little side hustle. She's the person to go to. Here's another example, ladies and gentlemen, of how you can literally recycle your pain to purpose. And I'm going to have all of the details of how to contact Lisa under the show. So don't forget to follow her on Facebook as well, and her details will be here. It is Dr. Ava Eager Brown with another saucy, informative, very snapshot of how people are turning their pain into purpose, especially in these times. And don't forget, this period was brought to you by the Mango Girl and Royal Thread. Until next time, we will see you on the other side. Lisa, thank you so much for coming. We're really excited to have you, and we can't wait to have you again. Thanks for now. Bye for now.